When the light faded from the west, when the minarets fell silent, and the palaces turned to dust, only then did people realize that a whole civilization had vanished. A place where the call to prayer echoed through cobbled streets, where scholars of all faiths discussed philosophy and science under the shade of orange trees. That place, that magical land, was called Al-Andalus. But how did this jewel of Europe turn into a pile of ruins? How did one of the most advanced civilizations in the world suddenly collapse? You may know the answer already. Yes, the year 1492, the fall of Granada. But that's just a date. Behind that date are centuries of struggle, betrayal, and war. And to understand why Al-Andalus fell, we must go back to the beginning. The Islamic Golden Age, which began in the 8th century, was a time of great expansion for the Muslim world. The Umayyad Caliphate stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the deserts of Persia. And within this vast empire, Al-Andalus, the Muslim-ruled Iberian Peninsula, was a standout pearl. Córdoba, its capital, was the cultural and economic center of the Caliphate. Its great mosque, a marvel of Moorish architecture, drew scholars and artists from across the known world. The cosmopolitan population of Córdoba included Muslims, Christians, and Jews, all contributing to the vibrancy of the city and the intellectual ferment that became a hallmark of Al-Andalus. But as the centuries passed, the heart of the Caliphate shifted east and Al-Andalus found itself relatively isolated. This, coupled with internal strife and external pressures, led to a gradual decline. By the 10th century, the Umayyad Caliphate no longer existed. In its place were several smaller Muslim kingdoms, a political fragmentation that would ultimately lead to the downfall of this once great civilization. These independent states, known as taifas, were engaged in endless conflicts with each other. They fought over trade routes, fertile lands, and, above all, power. The rivalries were so intense that any thought of uniting to defend against the encroaching Christians was unthinkable. Instead, there was only betrayal, backstabbing, and endless warfare. And so Al-Andalus, once a beacon of Muslim rule, was left vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Christian kingdoms of the north, Castile, Aragon, and Leon, were doing the exact opposite. They were uniting. These three separate kingdoms realized that only by joining forces could they hope to defeat the Muslims and take back the Iberian Peninsula, which had been ruled by them for over 700 years. They began to push south. For nearly 2 centuries, the Christians pushed into Muslim-controlled territory, taking back one city after another. Granada was the last to fall. The Nasrid dynasty, which had ruled Granada since 1230, was known for its love of luxury and poetry, not warfare. So when the armies of Isabella and Ferdinand arrived at the gates of Granada in 1491, the people knew their time was up. There was no grand battle, no heroic last stand. It was simply a slow, sad goodbye. On January 2, 1492, King Boabdil rode out of the city to meet the Spanish monarchs. With him, he carried the keys to the city and the banner of Granada, symbols of surrender. As he handed over these relics of his kingdom, he said nothing. No boastful last words, no defiant curses, just silence. Legend has it that when he turned to leave, he paused, looked back at his city for the last time, and wept. His mother, Queen Zaraya, embraced him and said, "Cry like a woman for the kingdom you could not defend like a man." Then she died. With the fall of Granada, the Muslim conquest of Spain came to an end. Over the next few decades, the remaining Muslims were expelled or converted. The Alhambra, once the seat of the last Muslim kingdom, was transformed into a royal palace. Granada, once a bustling metropolis, became a sleepy town. The magnificent libraries were destroyed, the palaces were plundered, and the mosques were converted into churches. All that remained were a few crumbling walls and the haunting memories of a lost civilization. But the story of Al-Andalus is more than just a tale of war and conquest. It's a testament to human resilience, creativity, and the power of ideas. Despite the many hardships they faced, the Muslims of Al-Andalus created a vibrant and sophisticated society that made significant contributions to art, literature, and science. Their legacy lives on in the beautiful architecture, the works of famous Spanish writers, and the very language spoken in Spain today. Al-Andalus may have fallen, but its spirit lives on in the hearts and minds of those who appreciate the beauty of diversity, the power of tolerance, and the importance of preserving our shared human heritage. What do you think? Is this the end of Al-Andalus or the start of its legend? Tell us in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.